The partial government shutdown continues this morning.
Yeah, here to tell us more about the shutdown from the political firm Golden State Consultants is Ashley Hayek. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ashley.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, well, give us a state of order as far as this government shutdown, what it means on a political level, at least with the new Congress that was just sworn in.
So first of all, we are entering entering the third week. It's been 2 weeks since the government shutdown. It's a partial government shutdown. The crux of the issue is the wall, right? The southern border wall. And the Republicans the president has asked for $5 billion in funding for the wall, which is technically 0.1% of the budget. Right? Mm-hmm. And Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer have said absolutely not. No funding will go to this wall. They proposed $1.3 billion, which is a significantly less amount of money, but none of that money was supposed to be allocated for an actual physical barrier along our southern border. So what's interesting, actually, is AP released a poll yesterday, and it showed that the top 3 issues that Americans want to focus on in 2019 and this new Congress to focus on are immigration, the economy, and healthcare. And based upon what we're seeing from this new Congress, right out of the bat is civil discourse, impeachment, and basically an unwillingness to work together like they campaigned on to help get things done in our country.
Well, it seems that both sides have just dug in. President Trump doesn't look like there's any signs of him giving anything at all. And what's interesting is when we hear now Speaker Pelosi say this isn't about politics, it seems like it's all about politics.
It's 100% about politics, and that's what's so unfortunate because they're playing a game of chicken with national security, with the migrant families, with our Border Patrol agents, and with the security of our state. You know, San Diego being a border city, this is a significant issue for us. We're looking at a health crisis potentially. There are folks within the caravan who have hepatitis A or tuberculosis, scabies, lice, and being able to treat those folks, but also we're exposing vulnerable populations here. There's a whole number of issues that we are facing as a border city, and so San Diegans really should be advocating and calling their congressional members, saying we got to have a serious talk about this at this point.
So, do you think there's going to be a meeting in the middle? The president has said, to a degree, that he will give a little bit if the Democrats will bring up their money, but do you see that happening?
It's going to have to happen because I guarantee you this president is not going to back down on funding towards a border wall. The National Secure Fence Act of 2006 was passed with the votes of Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and Barack Obama. And so the fact that they were willing to put funding towards a border wall and they're not willing to make any sort of concession or even have a discussion on it. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer wouldn't even listen to Kristen Nielsen about the alarming statistics that we face with the migrant caravans and with our border, increase of drugs, increase of crime, the criminals within the caravan. The fact that they won't even have a thoughtful conversation is absolutely alarming.
Well, I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, but we interviewed on the air here, Ginger and I, Congressman Scott Peters, and he said that he was opposing the wall because it was a 16th century solution that doesn't work anymore. If memory serves, he said you can drone over it, you can tunnel under it. But that being said, we have this situation where we now have Border Patrol officials that gathered at the White House and said, look, this is necessary. We need this for our own safety.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. If walls didn't work, why is there a wall around Barack Obama's house? Why is there a wall around Nancy Pelosi's house? Why is there a wall around the Vatican? The fact of the matter is statistics show where there is fencing or a wall, it's working. And you know what? Is it the one-size-fit-all solution? It's not. It doesn't address, the humanitarian crisis that we're facing right now. It doesn't address the people who go over or under the wall, but it is a barrier. And how are we going to expect the Border Patrol to focus on secure borders and doing their jobs if they do not have all the tools they need to ensure that protection along our southern border?
Well, the president has also said that Mexico is going to be paying for this wall. And a lot of folks thought that meant that the Mexican government is just going to write a check. But it doesn't seem like that's what he was intending as far as by saying Mexico is going to pay for this border wall.
I think, we have a new Mexican president that was recently elected, and he has said very strongly that this is a problem. I think that he'll be willing to work with the president. They cannot sustain the influx of immigrants coming through Mexico either. And so the fact of the matter is they're going to have to address it and spend some money to secure their country as well. Tijuana is a poor city. There's a lot of people who live in poverty, and they had said after 10 days, we're not going to be able to house and feed these people anymore. And so they're going to have to address it in some capacity too.
Well, there's a clip that's really flying around social media from, I believe it's back in 2009, and it's Chuck Schumer standing up at this dais and he's saying, basically, it could as well be the president giving this speech, but what's the difference now, just a few years later?
The difference is Democrats do not want this president to have a win, period. And that's what it comes down to. And like I said, the fact that Democrats, congressional leaders, are willing to play this game of chicken with our security. There was a police officer, a legal immigrant, who was shot and killed in Central Valley. What about that person's wife? What about that person's 6-month-old child? The fact that they're willing to sacrifice lives of Americans over a political platform because they don't want this president to have a win is completely wrong.
Yeah, because this is not a new issue. This has been going on for decades. It's been something that no politician really wants to touch because it is a little bit of political suicide, but that doesn't seem to bother this president. He just does what he campaigned on.
Well, yeah, and millions of dollars are being spent on this. And it keeps coming to the table. And there's some people who argue they like this conversation because it gives them a platform, it gives them an opportunity. But we have to address the security, we have to address the humanitarian component, and this is an opportunity for both parties to come together and handle it.
Well, let's hope they do and do it soon. All right, Ashley Hayek, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we've got